Today we have a very special guest. A freaking DJ. DJ Maniac.
Hello.
Or Caleb. You can just call him Caleb.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Where are you a DJ at for? Is that for school?
Yeah, it's a DJ thing, radio school. It's like a required class. We have to do so many shifts on the radio.
That's
Oh
really
my gosh,
cool.
That's awesome. Where do you go to school?
Orem High School.
Cool.
Okay. But yeah, so Caleb, he is the son of Holly, who has been in previous episodes.
Yes.
And
We love. She's awesome.
I just met her for the first time.
Hold on, more
I've
than
heard
me?
so much.
More
No,
than
no,
me.
I
I'm her.
I'm just
Sorry,
getting to
Holly.
know you.
So I'm really excited for this episode because when your mom came on, we talked about her experience with divorce, and now we have the opportunity to listen to your point of view, which I think is going to be really special because I don't know how many of I feel like a lot of people who watch our show are closer to our age, you know,
Yeah.
and maybe
mostly.
haven't experienced a divorce personally, but maybe have experienced the effects of it.
Yes.
As a third party. So yeah, I don't know, but first let's hear a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a junior in high school.
What do you like to do in your free time?
Well, let's see. What do I like to do in my free time? That's a good question. Recently, I've been watching a lot of the show Friends.
Oh my gosh,
Okay,
I love that
yeah,
show.
that's good.
How far are you?
I just watched the famous Pivot.
Oh my gosh,
That's like one of the
yes.
few episodes I've actually seen.
Yeah.
Aren't you so glad they're not taking it off Netflix?
Oh, so glad.
I would
they're
have died.
not? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Good.
I was so
It's
worried.
a really funny
The
show.
people's
Who's
voice
your
was
favorite
heard.
Chandler.
character?
Chandler.
Chandler? I love Chandler.
I
He's
approve.
awesome.
Someone once told me, they're like, you remind me of Chandler. And I was like, I think that's one of the greatest compliments I've ever received.
There are similarities.
It's true.
Okay, you're like, no you don't. Ouch.
First of all, thank you for coming on and being so willing to
You are
just
so
share your
welcome.
opinions.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about obviously being a child of divorced parents.
Mm-hmm.
So how old were you when your parents split?
I believe I was 13 at the time, like 13 and a half-ish,
Okay.
somewhere in that area.
Gotcha. Yeah, my parents were divorced too, but I was only like 6 years old when it happened, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember anything. It's just kind of something that I grew up with.
Mhm.
So what was that experience like for you?
Well, the problem is it was like really tough, and the problem is like something, like you said, you were 6, you didn't fully understand it, and because I was 13, I understood it better because I had a stronger bond with my parents, and like I loved them and cared about them and trusted them. And hearing this just caught me so off guard, and I just was so like confused, and I was like, I understand this, but I don't want to understand it.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Right.
So yeah, that's really caught me off guard when I was 13 at the time. I was just in that teenage, so
I mean, teenage years are already hard enough.
yeah, it's
Oh,
already
yeah.
hard. Yeah, definitely. So this like just put on a whole nother ton of weight on my back, so it was pretty difficult.
And do you feel like how are you able to? I mean, or are coping with that? Like, what things did you do or have you done to be able to help get?
Well, back in the time, I didn't know how to cope with it. I was just so confused and conflicted. I just felt like I couldn't talk to anybody. I felt like there was nothing I could do, and that I was just there, and I would just be miserable for all my life. But sure enough, I've just learned to kind of have a positive mental attitude and just to kind of it's part of your life. There's nothing you can do about it, and you just move on.
I think it's interesting you say miserable for the rest of your life because you seem very happy.
It's
You
true.
You seem very upbeat.
It's I've gotten that from a lot of my friends actually. Like they
Yeah.
always like look at me like a dude could have just totally like yelled at me or like gotten upset at me or something. Like a teacher could have yelled at me for doing something stupid.
Sure.
And that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, who does that?
and they'd stare and they'd look at me and they like would see like no kind of like
Anger, yeah.
like they just would say like, how do you do it? I'm like, do what? Just have such a good attitude and like view on things. I'm just like, it's just my positive mental attitude. PMA.
Leslie, are you okay?
Very important.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And so, like, I imagine that part of that probably comes from growing. When you've been through something hard,
Mm-hmm.
you grow,
It's true.
What other ways have you seen that growth, I guess? What good have you seen come from it?
Well, a lot of it, like, at first I didn't fully understand it. I just thought I could turn my back on everyone and just live a life alone. But sure enough, like, it's actually helped me, like, strengthen my bonds with, like, everybody. So yeah, first of all, when this happened, I just wanted to turn away from everybody and just isolate myself and just wait until the storm has passed. But sometimes the best way to do that is like by just turning to others for help. And sure enough, like at first I like the first like 6 months of the divorce, my bonds with everyone was almost completely shattered. I never got along with my mother. I fought with her all the time. I got to some really bad points in my life and because of that. And like I always fought with my brothers, like I always took out all my anger on the ones that shouldn't have taken any of it because they were the innocent ones. But yeah, a lot of it was just a lot of fighting and a lot of uncontrolled anger and like just unused emotions.
That's I really sorry.
No, it's
I
fine.
really like that phrase, like unused emotion.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like when things that traumatic happen, I mean you are going to feel something,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to come out some way.
Yeah.
And then there's definitely, and everybody has their own way of naturally like expressing emotion.
Yeah.
But it's almost always if it can negative emotions are going to come out negatively,
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to understand in the moment why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Because I face up, like I have like depression and anxiety, right?
Yep.
And so in the moment you like know you're upset and you're sad,
Yeah.
and you know why you're upset and you're sad, but it changes the fact that you feel upset and sad. And if someone said, "Oh, you're just sad because you're depressed," I'd be like, "Get out of my face!" Like it doesn't work that way. You can't just be like, "Oh, you're only feeling that way because of this,"
Right.
Yeah.
But it's important to realize that those are natural things too.
Yeah.
And when you go through a difficult situation or if you're dealing with mental illness, it's something that's going to be there. And so it's not your fault. You shouldn't feel bad or guilty if you're having feelings of anger or sadness because those are totally natural things.
It's true. It's very true.
So, like, what were you able to do? I mean, unless you're still a very angry person, which is
no.
totally
You don't
cool.
seem
We're
like that at
not
all. You
judging.
seem really
It's
cool.
fine.
Nah, most of the time I am pretty cool, so.
No, but like, yeah. So, were you able to? When did you see a change or what helped you change the way that you
I don't know.
were dealing with it?
I just like after all this happened, I started turning to like just like video games and electronics, like because of course they're inanimate objects, they can't really do anything to hurt you.
Right.
So I turned to those things, and as awful as they were to me sometimes, like in the end, I actually got some really good messages out of it. From this one guy I used to watch, he had some rough times too, but he taught me how to have a positive mental attitude, and sure enough, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start having a positive mental attitude. And sure enough, like all these like bad things started happening. I'm like, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to live my life. I don't care what people say about me. I'm going to live the way I want to live, and I'm not going to let other people's judgments and stuff affect me. And sure enough, that's helped a lot. And sure enough, I get through every day through positive mental attitude.
That's really cool.
Awesome. We're obviously members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So did you experience any kind of judgments from people at church, or what was that experience like? Because I know we have such a huge focus on families in our church.
Yeah, the focus on family is huge in our church, and it's very important, and it's the key to true joy and happiness. And this reminds me of a story of a couple months after the divorce, and it was like I was really starting to get like a better bond with my mother and a better bond with my father and my brothers. And one day on the bus ride to school, one of my friends was talking about how he got into an argument with his parents, and he said all this stuff, and he's like, oh my gosh, I don't get along with my parents, I don't like them, they don't get along together, I wish they would just get divorced. And I looked at him in the eyes and I said, don't say that. You have no idea what it's like, and you will never realize how much you love them until it's happened. And sure enough, it's like back before the divorce, I thought I had my maximum bond with my mother and my father and my brothers, but sure enough, after the divorce, it like really changed, and like me and my mother now, we have like so many inside jokes. We like quote all these movies. Like whenever we hear sound, we both just immediately look at each other, and we just know exactly what's going on
Right.
through our heads, and we
That's
just understand
really
each
cool.
other like perfectly. In the end, I think that my mother has become like my best friend because she's been there for me like when no one else has, and that's what's so great about it.
And that is, I'm sure when it was all happening, when the divorce was happening,
Mhm.
you weren't thinking about, oh, well, in the future, like, I'll be close with my mom and everything will be good.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
in the moment, you're like, oh my gosh, this sucks so bad.
It did.
And a lot of other situations, like if you have someone pass away or
Mhm.
if tough things happen to you, you never think how it'll turn positive in the end. So I
Yeah.
think it's amazing that now you're here and you're able to
Mhm.
look back on it and see the good that's come from it.
Yeah.
You mentioned your 2 younger brothers.
Mm-hmm. Jack and Parker, by the way, because they're gonna watch this and they're gonna yell like, "Why did you say my name?"
They're
Jack and
also
Parker, hi!
Jack and Parker,
YouTube
hi.
stars. And so I'm sure, like, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, because like Mimi
Mhm.
went through like her parents' divorce when she was young.
Mhm.
How old are your younger brothers, or were they at the time?
My younger brothers right now, they're 12 and 8. We're all 4 years apart, and at the time, what were they? I think Parker was 4 and Jack was 8 at the time. I think.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So yeah, it was the toughest for me, but it was also kind of tough to look at them and like see like I could see like when my mother told them that they were getting a divorce, they got upset, but I could see they didn't fully understand it, didn't click.
Right.
And that was kind of upsetting too, because I'm like, why do they not understand it? But then again, like when you were younger, you said you didn't fully understand it, and yeah, of course, it's because the younger you are, you're not fully developed, you don't fully understand everything.
Well, and your concept of how relationships work and everything is very different.
Yeah, and it's over time and development, and they didn't have that much time, and just like you saying, like you grew up and it was just something you had, and you never.
It was just normal to me.
Yeah, it was normal to you. See, the sad part is that my 2 younger brothers are gonna end up growing up like that, and that's probably one of the hardest things that I put up with every day is just knowing that they're gonna end up growing up saying, yeah, my parents were divorced when I was growing up, and the sucky part is that back when I heard the divorce, it broke my heart because, of course, sure enough, like I had all these memories. Like we went to like Yellowstone, we went to all these like fun places, and we had so many great memories. And like we moved to this amazing house, and we were just so far up there. And I'm just like, it can't get any better than this, and like nothing could make this worse. And sure enough, it crashed and burned, and I'm just like, this sucks, and I lost everything. But yeah, sure enough.
And I don't know about you guys, but when I've gone through hard trials in my life, I always feel closer to God in the end.
Exactly.
Even if in the midst of the trial I feel completely alone and sad and broken, I know coming out of that I had that trial to build me and help me become a stronger, better person.
Yeah,
so I want to ask you, how do you feel like your testimony has been affected with this trial?
That's a good question. See, like after the divorce, like I didn't know what to do, so I turned to the like social media and electronics and stuff like that. And I started like looking at Mormon messages, like I never really did, like when I was younger. And I started looking into these, and I found quite a few good ones. Probably one of my favorites is what's it called? By Jeffrey R. Holland. I think it's Don't Ever Give Up.
Don't you quit. You keep walking. You keep trying.
Or something. The one with the road and
I
all
watch
that.
it like every day on my mission.
Yeah. that one was amazing. It really like opened my eyes and like noticed like, hey, it's gonna be all right in the end. Just gotta keep pushing, keep going forward, and one day it'll be all right, and in the end it'll all be okay.
And I wonder, do you feel that, I don't know, because like you have your dreams, you know, the stuff you want to do, and do you think the divorce changed what you felt about your future or what you feel like is going to happen?
I feel like in a way that changed, both in a bad and a good way, because back when I was younger and like before the divorce happened, I used to be like crazy good at like just building like whatever. Like
Legos and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
with like
yeah,
Legos and
totally.
stuff. Like my creativity was kind of like a barrel. Like there was only so much outside of it that I could get a hold of, but because of that dent, it like just spewed a ton of other creativity, and because of that, I've like been able to discover like I have so many other creative sides to me. Like I've been able to like recently I've been like starting like to come up with like music stuff.
Cool.
I've been able to like draw like incredible things.
Yeah.
like just a lot of my creativity has just like really improved ever since then. And also like I used to like back when I was younger, I'm like I want to be an engineer, but like as good as I am with like building stuff and all that, like I've started to realize that most of my like true characteristics are like through like what I'm going like to work on. And like recently I've like realized that I'm good with public speaking, and I'm good with talking to others, and I'm good with like helping others go through tough times. And like my mother, she's a therapist and she does a lot of good things and helps others with through tough times. And yeah, I've like recently like I've been looking more into like public speaking and like helping people that are struggling with stuff. And yeah, like building stuff's like on the side, but it's not really like my full like career option anymore like it used to be. And because of all this, like I've really like looked on my like past, and it was awful, but now I look at it now and it's amazing. And like because of this, I've been like looking at this quite a bit, and it's probably gonna change my life forever. And it's really put myself into a good perspective of what I plan on doing in the future. Like when I get married,
Good attitude.
when I get married and become a father and have kids and have a good wife, like I'm gonna use these things as like reasons to continue to fight and to be a good husband, to be a good father, and to be an example to all those around me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that this has given you a perspective, and now you're so much more committed to that. So thank you so much for coming on. I know this is going to help so
You
many
really are good,
people.
like public speaking. I totally see that because you have a way of.
Well, my parents are good at it, so how could I not?
Yeah.
So keep him on your radar, DJ Maniac.
DJ Maniac.
Future YouTube star.
KOH Orem 91.7 FM.
Wow! Should we
That's
plug
awesome.
any of your social media? Like,
The truth is, I don't have social media.
But for those of you who do use social media,
Should I do the voice?
yes, do it.
I'm going to do the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. All right, you need to subscribe and subscribe. You got to do it, come on. Get to the chopper, put that cookie down and put the cookie down and smash the like button, come on. You got this.
oh my gosh,
You
need to
heard
go on
it.
the show more.
You heard
You're
it.
welcome.
You have to.
We also have social media, so Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, so be sure to follow us there as well. I